We all know when our teams are filled with like such delight over a client partnership and work, it's like I'm seeing the reason why we are doing this live in it. And I do think like, this industry is hard in a similar way that nonprofits can be hard. We're always trying to do more with less. There's always a deadline. We're always trying to figure things out. So how do we make space for things that make the world better?
There's this like wonderful, joyful, creative spirit that actually comes from doing this kind of thing that actually opens more bridges between you and your clients anyway, or other organizations, and then the people that benefit from it. Hopefully that creates ripple effects so they want to do it in the future. And so really it is just a magnificent sort of, engine of good, as long as, you just lean in and don't spend so much time talking about how good you are, just do good.
Creativity and design can do so much good in the world, and being able to apply that deep career know-how towards helping support a worthy cause, like it really can make real change happen. And so it's about capturing imaginations and minds and hearts, and honestly it does deliver a different level of satisfaction than a lot of the other work that you'll do in the industry, as Maggie said. So I think it's kind of a win-win to get involved.
Hi, everyone, and welcome. I'm Stacy Huston, Executive Director of SixDegrees.org, and I'm thrilled to be with you all going live today to talk about Purpose Produced. And for those of you that are just joining for the first time, Purpose Produced is a really unique partnership that we launched alongside our friends at Advertising Week to pair 6 grassroots nonprofits across the U.S. with some incredible top creative agencies in this industry. And you're going to be hearing from a few of them today. The goal is really to bring the full force of world-class storytelling and strategy to organizations that are making a real difference in their communities, but they don't always have access to top-tier talent and strategists. And we are just so excited to be talking about this project a little bit more and give you guys some of the insight of how we put it all together. So I'm especially excited because today we have 3 of the incredible leaders of those agencies that are participating in Purpose Produced with me today. We have Scott McClure, Senior Vice President of Creative at Rain the Growth Agency. We have Maggie Malek, CEO of Crispin, and Elliott Chaffer, Executive Creative Director at Versus. Welcome, everybody.
Welcome. I don't know. I'm welcoming myself.
Nice to be here.
Just do it. Just
to talk on top of each other. But
each of you bring really distinct creative lens and years of experience shaping campaigns for some of the world's greatest, biggest brands. But what's more inspiring is how you have all harnessed that expertise for purpose-driven work through this initiative that you're doing with us and also past initiatives. So we're going to talk about what drew you guys to Purpose Produce, what it's really meant for you personally and professionally for your teams, the impact that you've maybe seen on your staff or culture, and how you think companies everywhere can really lean in to impact. But before we jump into Purpose Produce specifically, I want to really give people a sense of each of your individual agencies. You've each worked on some pretty incredible and unique campaigns, and I'm sure each of you have kind of a signature approach, a common thread or philosophy that you have guide your projects or unite some of your work. And so let's talk about that. Maggie, I'd love to come to you first. Can you speak a little bit to Crispin's process, the work that you do, and why you do it?
Crispin's been around since the 1960s. It's one of the original creative agencies. It's one of the most, innovative places in terms of solving business problems. That's always what's really been core to our work, is being very channel agnostic, being very creative agnostic, being very media agnostic. How do we think about brands 20 years ago, like Burger King and Domino's? They need to reach new consumers. What does that look like, right? And then today, how that's evolved as social has evolved, as media has evolved. We're still taking that same approach for clients like Samsung, for Target, like Procter & Gamble. At the end of the day, it's all about how do we solve incredibly tough problems creatively, and we're agnostic to what that can look like in the world.
It's funny when I first started working at 6 Degrees, people would always say, "What's your pillars?" So many nonprofits will have very key pillars, and for many years we just said we're agnostic of pillars in that same way that if we felt like we could make an impact and we felt moved to, we were going to do what we could. So we definitely align with that. That's great. Thanks, Maggie. Elliott, over to you. Can you share a little about Versus?
Yeah, absolutely. We're celebrating our 12th year. And it's run by, Justin Barnes and Rob Myers and Samantha Louise. And basically, we don't call ourselves an agency. We're more like a fearlessly original creative and production studio. And by that, we really sort of mean that we flex into so many different arenas, whether it's live action, commercials, whether it's long form, whether it's digital AI tools, whether it's branding. And so we're extremely nimble and have just an amazing production background, a group of producers that are just incredible, that can sort of really adapt to anything that clients come to us for. So we are not as large as Maggie's amazing company, but we definitely work on massive projects on global scales that can last 3 years, and we can also do very short projects as well that are, incredibly tactical and experiential or whatever it is. So it's very much a very creative studio that has a lot of arms to it, I would say.
Yeah, your experiential approach is really what drew us to your work, and we'll even talk about that a little bit later. But thank you, Elliott. And Scott, if you could share the same about Rain the Gross mission.
Sure. Yeah. And we've worked with Versus before. I mentioned that to Elliott. I think you're pretty new there, but very familiar with their capabilities. And Maggie Crispin is advertising royalties. So I'm so honored to be on this discussion with both of you. Rain's also around the same age, about 7 years in existence. And our work is really at the intersection of brand and performance. So more than anything, our campaigns are designed to generate growth. Again, it is also channel agnostic, though our roots are in television and in video as a core competency. So that's a lot of the work that we've done with Versus in the past. And we work with a number of different Fortune 500 companies, but a lot of fast companies as well. A lot of times companies will come to us when they've plateaued in digital and really need to up their video presence and get to an omni-channel place to get to that next level of growth. And so we work with companies like Humana, Bissell, Shopify, Shutterfly, brands like that. And really excited to be a part of the conversation today. Tell you more about it.
Thanks, Scott. Yeah, the collaborative approach is something that is also very close to our heart at 6 Degrees. We always say that we're experts in a few things, right? But you can work with other partners to really grow and extend your impact and your reach. So love that. Let's stay with you, Scott. If we talked about how we're pairing you all with nonprofits. You were paired with Glamour Gals, which is a nonprofit that empowers teens to grow as leaders by connecting them with seniors through really meaningful conversations and companionships during makeovers, which is a long way to say that you get these teenage girls to go into a lot of these long-term care facilities where elders are often forgotten about. And they have these really unique experiences to do intergenerational service work to both alleviate elder loneliness, but also to give a lot of really core skill building to teen volunteers, fostering a sense of purpose in these early years of their, young adult life. So we absolutely love Glamour Gals and what they're doing. And we know that Rain the Growth is also one of the very few female-founded agencies in the U.S.
That's right.
And so it felt like your team was a really good pair to connect with the mission. But you didn't know what the partner was before you really agreed to say yes. No one did. So I would love for you to talk a little bit about why your agency said yes to moving forward and joining this mission at Purpose Produced.
Absolutely. Well, and first of all, the Glamour Gals team is fantastic. We're kind of midway through the project now of kind of putting this together, and they get us pumped up on every call. Like, the energy is infectious. They have such passion for what they do. And we weren't expecting, we want to do this. We've been very strong partners with Adweek. We've had panels kind of year over year. We have a really strong presence in sports marketing and trying to bolster more investment and brands getting into that space more. And so I think that's a lot of the ties that we have with Adweek. And so when we came onto this project, we weren't really sure who we get paired with, but we're just thrilled because we have a deep experience in kind of marketing to the 55 plus audience, to that kind of older senior target. And so we can infuse a lot of the insights and work we've done there into the space. But it's rare that you would get a target audience that is so in such a different generational space, right? And so what we've done for the campaign, the little sneak preview of what's to come, is that we're not only doing a recruitment campaign for the teens and having to speak their language and get into this Gen Z space and be very social forward and thinking about experimental breakthrough things that we can do to reach them. But then we're also trying to do sort of general market awareness and try to get more folks either at senior homes or that have loved ones that could use this service to sort of step up and participate. And so it's a very broad reaching effort that we're putting in. It also happens to be a moment where they're hitting their 25 years sort of milestone. And so celebrating that and all the work that they've done, 30,000 alumni that come through the program. And so it's a very exciting time to be working with them. And all I can say is that we came kind of with an open mind about it and knowing that we wanted to pay it forward and do something to help another organization. And we're just thrilled that this pairing was made and that we can make the impact that we're planning to.
Love to hear it, Scott. Thank you. Maggie, Crispin has done some really major standout work, and much of your portfolio is vibrant and colorful and what I kind of see as joy forward. And so we paired you with Find Your Anchor, which is a grassroots movement aimed at suicide prevention, awareness, and education. They really have a lot of creativity and a personal touch. You know, Allie is their founder there and is deep in design and her background as well. But Find Your Anchor really aims to support those that might be struggling and destigmatize the conversations around suicide and mental health. And they actually lean forward with joy in a lot of what they do. They want to infuse joy into everyday anchors that are meant to help us stay a little longer, maybe a minute, a moment, a day. So I would love for you to also share kind of what drew you to Purpose Produced as an organization at Crispin. Your team has been fantastic. Allie is so excited. Find Your Anchor, just loves what you guys are doing. But that early nudge to kind of step forward and say, we want to participate in this. I'd love to kind of hear a little bit about that journey for you all.
So I have a rather untraditional path to creativity. I was a veteran. My mom worked in nonprofits. My dad actually committed suicide or died by suicide. So it was a really interesting pairing that happened here. I promised my team I would not cry on this call, so we're going to work on that. But when I took the reins of Crispin, again, growing up in this field, I started as a copywriter. When I took the reins of Crispin, obviously this agency was going through its own transformation. And one of the things we as a leadership team decided to bring back into this organization was the idea that we are here to leave the world, the advertising world, better than we found it, right? That's how I could show up for my mom and my dad in the military in this weird industry that I'm in now. And I love it so much, right? And so it's been 3 years into the Crispin journey, and we've been taking on more work like this. So when the opportunity came up for Purpose Produced, we were immediate yes. And then it felt like such a again, like Find Your Anchor, like a glimmer in the dark, that like the nonprofit that we happen to be paired with was about raising awareness for suicide. It's something that my team is deeply passionate about. Again, my people team has put together so many mental health programs over the past 3 years, given all the things the world is going through and changes and everything. So I was in the New York office last week, and again, it's such a hard topic to talk about, but like I always tell people that like I had the best dad of the world for 16 years. And so like hearing the team talk about this work and anchors and glimmers and joy, I don't want to spoil it because they will murder me. But like we all know when our teams are filled with like such delight over a client partnership and work, it's like I'm seeing the reason why we are doing this live in it. And I do think like this industry is hard in a similar way that nonprofits can be hard. We're always trying to do more with less. There's always a deadline. We're always trying to figure things out. So how do we make space for things that make the world better? And so just my team has been so just honored to be a part of this process with all of these other amazing agencies. And we love Allie. She's the best.
I concur. She is fantastic. And Maggie, thank you for sharing your story. We really appreciate you just being transparent about your own journey and how it's touched you. We also won't ruin the creative brief, but there was not a dry eye, not because it's like sad, but because it's so powerful and beautiful. And you could see that connection to the work. And that's something that I will share with each of your agencies. When we did kind of the unveiling and we paired you all and jumped on a call and introduced partners, every single one of the partnerships were like, how did you know? Like that was a theme. It was almost like, the pairings were magical, right? Mystic. But it was really a combination between what we saw your agencies do so well, and maybe some of that's coming through because of lived experience and how it touches the different people that make up your agencies. But no, thank you so much, Maggie. And Elliott, Versus has a strength with purpose-driven, kind of unapologetic branding, building movements for underserved communities and people. And you've even mentioned, a little bit experiential in nature, which was really exciting about the pairing that we put you together with Pulse of Perseverance, which is a career accelerator. In short, they foster academic excellence and personal growth by connecting underserved youth and underrepresented students with mentorship and scholarships, started by 3 doctors that know what it was like to kind of forge their own way with limited resources and connections and mentoring, and wanted to create a path for others. So I'd love for you also to speak to kind of Versus motivations to getting involved in this type of kind of purpose forward campaign.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. And I was just really quickly, I was thinking the same thing. How did you pair such people so well? And again, yeah, thank you for your share, because that's what this is about. It's about things that mean things to you, your why, like what really drives you underneath everything to turn up every day and not just sell, products, but also sell potential dreams. And I think that's what's amazing about these guys. They had a dream. They were, from the neighborhoods, and then like found each other at college, really got together and just like pulled each other along, and then built platforms for others to just keep doing it. And that's what we love. I mean, one of our EPs here, David Edelstein, he's involved with the actual with you guys, 6 Degrees, like on the advisory board, and I think he just heard about this opportunity to dive in, help out, and also to magnify Adweek, through the whole campaign sort of magnification. And we just thought this is an amazing chance to, just do what we love to do as well, which is give back and push things forward. And, it's interesting you're using some words as well that, we hear a lot, like underrepresented and stuff. And even during our campaign thoughts, we're reframing a lot of the script and if you like, so we're trying to really shift perspectives, shift opportunities, and really sort of just try to reframe the narrative. So for us to use all our skills then with sonic mnemonics that we're going to get done with other people from You Too Can Woo, we can really make a very pulsing, persevering project, if you like, without giving too much away. But
I'm so excited. I cannot wait to see it all come together. That's fantastic. And I think reshifting and reframing narratives is always appropriate. And I know that culturally we need a lot of that. So excited to see what your team comes up with in that piece. I'd love to kind of find out everyone's favorite parts about collaborating with their nonprofit partners, whether it was a specific kind of situation or just generally feedback you're getting from your team. Elliott, since you kind of just left off, I know that you're working really closely with P3, that Pulse of Perseverance goes by P3 for short, or the P3 project. What's really made an impact on your team on working on this project so far?
I think it's been really interesting because I basically joined when I think this project came in. And, we've also onboarded somebody else who's like really invested and really, growing through working on it as well. And even when it gets to the edit stage, we'd love to maybe even mentor somebody else through that, so that we're also using the project as another opportunity to help other people in our world, get another little access point. So I think that's the thing. It's just this opening of doors and minds, and then the sort of dialogue that we're having about, copy and like design structures and animation styles. And it's just inspiring because that all that stuff is going to be moving graphics that's going to move lives, So I think that's that thing, when internally you just feel you always want to do something more, and here's a nice opportunity. I think that's it. We're just all really embracing it. And we've got live action shoot about to happen, anthem films we're going to make, lots of cut downs and print and statics. And I think it's just that thing. It's like, oh, there's so many opportunities. And then, yeah, even to the events, the gala events, we're thinking, how could you even magnify that in a very simple way, in very simple experiential touch points, but not, not crazy blowing the budget that, kind of like is, but things that could be really just genuinely clever and make you think again. So yeah, I think that's the thing. It's just given us this opportunity as well to really fulfill our kind of purpose as creatives and to create more purpose for others.
Yeah, no, that's beautifully said. And I think that's been the exciting part about these evergreen campaigns that each of your teams are building, is that there could be parts that they activate immediately, and there could be something that there's been a lot of nuggets, right? Like, hey, maybe not now, and maybe not exactly with this, but this is an idea. Just the generosity of your strategy and creativity of all of your teams has been really inspiring. Scott, I'd love to ask about Reign the Growth. You guys participated in an event with Glamour Gals. I saw some rooftop pics and a lot of behind the scenes, and those moments must have been really special. But what has really made an impact for your team?
Yes, there's a lot of events and fundraisers and sort of social things that they do regularly. And so we had some of our New York staff be able to join that. We actually did some interviews, like a day of interviews with a production partner in New York, I think last week, and just had a day of hearing from all different perspectives across the organization, from the teams themselves, from those on staff, to some of the folks that had come up as alumni, and hearing their perspectives. And I think that was really powerful for the team to just get that firsthand account. And we're looking at that as just almost like a baseline of understanding what they do and hearing about the shared experience they have. One of the activities that we did when we first started working with Glamour Gals is that everybody kind of took a moment to reflect on someone in their life, a loved one, a family member who is older, a mentor, a teacher, a coach, something from their past, and thinking about what life would be like for them as they've aged, and maybe not having the connections in their community that they once had, right? Like, what does that feel like from someone that you can relate to personally, for that sort of isolation or a little bit of neglect in an older age, right? And really channel that into the work we're doing, and thinking about finding a lifeline to someone like that you care about, that you have this emotional connection to. And I think that really rooted everyone in the project with a little more meaning, a little more understanding of what we're trying to achieve. We're a small team, and so one of the things that has been great is getting a larger group of working against this sort of common brief, and a little more cross-pollination in our department. We also, I mentioned we're having recruitment for that teen audience. And so we had a team of interns this summer who we pulled right into the project as a feedback loop, right? They had a lot to offer. They helped us plus the work along the way, and kind of helped keep it rooted in relevance, I'd say, as we pulled that part of it together. And I think that was really rewarding to see them have really a tangible stake in what we were doing.
I love that. Once again, that lived experience coming through and being able to utilize it and integrate it into your project planning. That's very cool, Scott. And Maggie, like I said, is someone that has seen the creative brief, and all I can say is wow, right? Probably legally. It's clear that this was deeply understood by your team, and what you've also shared personal, right? So I'd love for you to share a little bit what has left a mark on your team about working with Allie and Find Your Anchor.
So first of all, Kim, she's the ECD on this work. She's in New York. She's amazing. She has worked with Michelle, Haley, Kendall, several of our creatives, but also she has pulled in ideas from across the agency. I will say that we are all here at this proverbial table because somebody else gave us a seat and they brought us to these meetings. And so what I've loved about Allie and how I've heard she's interacted with our team is like how open she is to ideas, kind of like Scott was saying, ideas coming in from every level, giving every single person an opportunity to present their perspective and their creative ideas. And she's been so willing to share feedback. Again, that's like such a gift in this industry. I think sometimes for junior people on the team, they're not always there at the client table. So feedback might be translated. And then how do we teach them to grow up and be the next Elliott, right? So it's like that, I think, is another really cool thing about Purpose Produce and what we can do with our teams. But I would say the other fun piece to this has been, again, similar to these guys on the call, is as we have more channels at our fingertips, the creative team brainstorming with the media team, what do events like? It's been very rewarding for everyone all around. It was also really fun. The ladies presented to the entire agency on last Wednesday, like some early green shoots ideas. And so like that's even a good opportunity for them to like have that place and that space to talk about it. So I would say just it's such it sounds like all of these teams that are working on this, like we all at the different agencies have such a deep connection. We can find such a deep connection. Again, I said this earlier, but like work is hard sometimes. And so having a little space where you can be like, okay, I'm working on this client over here and this deliverables due, but here's like a spark of joy. That has been really rewarding for me, again, as someone who like grew up as a writer and now like manages more spreadsheets.
Yeah. I mean, we really see that in a lot of the work that Six Degrees does when we are engaging different companies, like their employees are getting to kind of exercise a little bit more of this other creative outlet that they may not have done before. Whenever you're connecting to purpose, you tend to see, increased employee engagement and morale and just a general boost of well-being. And so it's fun to see that different folks can join at different levels to these programs internally, and that they can also get some, improved leadership and just collaboration. Yeah, some reps. Exactly. So really in closing, we always want to leave those that tuned in, or we'll get this live stream later, with some thoughts, right, on lending their expertise for impact, because the most critical reason that 6 Degrees really wanted to put this together is so that we can inspire other organizations in advertising or any other creative space, to say how can we lend our expertise, and is it worth it? Is this something that's going to take away from our time? Is it going to take away from what we have on the books in our portfolio, or is it actually something that could be strategic and it could be something that could help our teams? And so I want to start with Scott first. Rain the Growth Agency is really known for blending performance marketing, I should say, with really powerful storytelling. And so for companies that want to do good, that they aren't sure where to begin, what's kind of one step you might recommend, that they can do to kind of align that impact with more measurable outcomes, right? Anything in that realm, we'd love for you to share.
Sure. Well, first, they could reach out to you, Stacy, right, and to the team at 6 Degrees and expressing interest in doing what we've done to step up the plate. I think that's, but more than anything, like there's no better creative stretching than working in this space and nonprofit space, because the dynamic is just different. It is. I think, Maggie, you're alluding to that a little bit. And it is good for teams. It's a morale builder. It's a skill builder. It's a way to bring in other viewpoints and really get across your agency organization involvement. And there's lasting benefits of that. And it's not just a feel-good experience. It's also good business, because the work that you do can can make waves, can give that kind of impact that we're looking for. And then when you think about that from a business perspective, you can apply that to the capitalist society and the world for other brands at large. And so I think there's a lot of upside to it. Creativity and design can do so much good in the world, and being able to apply that deep career know-how towards helping support a worthy cause, like it really can make real change happen. And so it's about capturing imaginations and minds and hearts, and honestly, it does deliver a different level of satisfaction than a lot of the other work that you'll do in the industry, as Maggie said. So I think it's kind of a win-win to get involved.
Thanks, Scott. Yeah, we always say storytelling can change the world, but it's something that it's not just for the person that's receiving it and on the viewing side, right, the consumer side, but actually you're getting to see what it's like to participate in that crafting of the storytelling. So we really appreciate you. Maggie, Crispin has a reputation for bold, creative culture shaping campaigns. So if a brand or an agency might be hesitant about stepping into kind of purpose driven work in this way, how would you emphasize the importance of taking that leap or using some of their creative voice to make an impact?
Yeah. I think Elliott said this earlier, but I always push brands and challenge, find your why. What is the reason you want to step into a purpose-driven space? And is it actually to do good? Or is it you're trying to get in some cultural moment or have a conversation that maybe you don't need to be in, right? So I think that's where we've had a lot of conversations in that area, right? So you got to, once you find your why, then finding passionate partners who are there to support you is so important. And that Scott said this, getting creative about the ways in which you can support. So tying back to your why, if you are a creative agency, the best way that you can support is finding a nonprofit to do the creative for them. Crispin doesn't need to set up our own separate side hustle nonprofit. We need to help you. And so I think that's been something that's been really beautiful about this journey as well. And something I would, again, tell brands, why are you doing this? Start there, and then you can action a plan.
That's great, Maggie. And I think the collaboration is really key. It's you don't have to kind of reinvent the wheel. Are there partnerships that you can come in place, like with the 6 Degrees or even others, that can help with that early vetting? Who are the right partners for your brand? Will it speak to kind of your workforce, your creative outlets? So no, I appreciate that as well. And Elliott, we kind of said this before, Versus is really known for this experiential take that they have with storytelling and the innovation you guys do with motion and design. So for companies that haven't yet thought about the role that they can play in making an impact, what's one practical way that you might advise them to start infusing purpose into some of their creative projects or something that they can do leveraging their talent?
Definitely. I have so many ideas, but
Hey, you can share as many as you'd like.
well, I mean, just from experience, honestly, one of my pillars personally is, generosity, intuition and fluidity, but also generosity. And so, throughout my career, I've always looked for opportunities wherever I've been at other companies. There was once a thing in our industry called Coalition of the Willing, where they got a lot of animators together to do a thing about global warming, and we got involved in that. And then we'd do free films for Amnesty International, on Thursday night. So we dedicated time, specifically, and it was called Betterment Bureau, saving the world one pixel at a time, and this was at another company. And then in other places, during COVID, we set up a mentorship program with all the studios and sound studios around the world and graphic studio, and even with our clients. And so what I think I'm trying to say is we got a bunch of people from CalArts into the industry with mentorship and workshops, and then they now have full-time jobs, the ones that wanted to continue with it. But then the people they interacted with were top-level clients at, TV networks and everything like that, who are also friends of ours that we snowboard with or whatever. So what I'm trying to say is there's this wonderful, joyful, creative spirit that actually comes from doing this kind of thing that actually opens more bridges between you and your clients anyway, or other organizations, and then the people that benefit from it. Hopefully that creates ripple effects so they want to do it in the future. And so really it is just a magnificent sort of engine of good, as long as, you just lean in and don't spend so much time talking about how good you are. Just do good.
Just do it.
I love it.
Just
Like, that is the title of this episode. Don't talk about it, just do good. We really appreciate you. Elliott Chaffer with Versus, Maggie Malek with Crispin, Scott McClure, Rain the Growth. Thank you each for just spending time with us this afternoon, and even more so, what you are giving to these organizations through Purpose Produced by 6 Degrees. They have said it, and we've said it several times now. It really is creating transformational change. That's the impact that's going to come from what your expertise is providing. And it cannot be understated how important that is now more than ever to these organizations and the thousands and thousands of people that they support year over year. So this work matters, and we are really, really grateful that you said yes to this. So thank you.
Thank
you.
you.
It's been fascinating.